Massive breaking news to bring you this Wednesday morning. Thomas Frank has been sacked by Tottenham. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to centre around the big breaking news coming from Tottenham Hotspur, and we have another managerial casualty on our hands as David Ornstein has exclusively revealed that Thomas Frank has been sacked in the aftermath of what has been not only a poor season again from Spurs, but in the aftermath, not even 24 hours after Tottenham's latest defeat at the hands of Newcastle last night. The Magpies ran out 2-1 winners over Spurs, and it has been revealed this morning that this man right here, Thomas Frank, has been sacked from his position as the head coach of Tottenham Hotspur. We're going to be talking about this story. We're going to be talking about Thomas Frank, Spurs, where to both go from here, that kind of thing. But before we get into all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And of course, I encourage you all to get involved in the comment section down below. Use and abuse that section, people. Talk to me on this big breaking news story. Were Tottenham right to do this? Were they wrong to do this? Should they have backed him more? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling in that comment section, because your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, I'm sure will make for great and interesting reading. But without further ado, let's go on with the story at hand, shall we? Let's talk Tottenham. Let's talk Thomas Frank and the sacking that has become apparent this morning. So, automatically, let's start off with the source. 10 o'clock this morning, David Ornstein reveals exclusively Thomas Frank sacked as Tottenham Hotspur head coach. Tottenham working through various possible contingency plans to replace the 52-year-old Dane as club sit 14th in the Premier League, 5 points above the relegation zone after 2 wins from 17 matches. It doesn't make for great reading. It's been a poor season. It's been a doom and gloom season for Spurs, in all honesty. It was pretty shocking. I mean, the Champions League aside, obviously the Premier League matters more, and I think even if they did keep him, they would manage to keep their heads above water, again, probably by being the 4th worst team in the Premier League for this season at the very least. But again, it doesn't exactly go with how Spurs talk. It doesn't exactly go with how Spurs dream of being. But maybe that's because maybe they're deluded. Maybe this is the reality of Tottenham Hotspur right now. It's interesting kind of dynamic. I mean, I understand some of the things he said in press conferences, some of the ways he's been somewhat complimentary of Arsenal and all of that stuff doesn't exactly go down too well with the Hotspur fan base. I also understand that performances haven't been amazing. But I do kind of feel sorry for him in certain situations. I mean, he's had to deal with a ton of injuries, and they've all been to his best players. Now, maybe you can argue that maybe he should have got more out of the players that he has, and that's the same kind of criticism that I had of Ange Postecoglou, to be fair, and I was calling for him to be sacked from the outside looking in not so long ago. But even so, he's had his most influential players, the likes of Maddison, Kulusevski, Solanke was out for the majority of the season. They've all been injured at certain points. All the players have been in and out of the side. He's had his captain, who's an absolute head case and lunatic, constantly lose his head, and he's become, he is a liability no matter what manager comes in next. I'm sure Romero will still be a liability. There have been 1 or 2 bright lights in an otherwise dark season. Van der Ven continues to be great, in my opinion. Mohamed Kudus has been a fantastic signing for Spurs. But obviously, it's not been enough. It's not been enough. And like I say, I think he's been left... I think he's been left kind of in the dark a little bit. I think he's been kind of left out to hang a little bit, Thomas Frank, from the outside looking in. Like I say, I know performances haven't been great. I know things he's said haven't been great. And I can honestly say he's not blameless. But When you've got a board that is ran like Spurs have been for the past few years, when you look at the entirety of that Tottenham squad, and barring a few exceptions here and there, you're looking at the squad going, what the hell kind of crap Frankenstein monster is this? A squad that has been put together by about 3 or 4 different managers and about 3 or 4 different sporting directors. I kind of feel sorry for the guy. I kind of do. I kind of do a little bit. Look, I understand change was needed. I understand you're looking at it and saying change was needed. But again, this goes back to the whole identity crisis that I've talked about with Spurs over and over again. Who are you? What are you? You talk a big game. You talk like you're a top 6 club. You do stuff off the pitch that makes you look like a top 6 club with all these brand deals and sponsorships and the new stadium, and you've got Beyonce playing at the new stadium, and you've got boxing at the new stadium, and you've got this and that at the new stadium. But on the pitch is where it matters for these Spurs fans. They couldn't care less about who you're bringing to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, other than new signings, of course. It's about success. It's about having an identity. It's about playing a brand of football that you can be proud of. And they've not had that for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. Last year's Europa League success papered over some massive cracks. And obviously, if it had been in probably any other Europa League campaign, Spurs probably wouldn't have won it. But because it was that one, being at the right place at the right time, Spurs won it, fair play. But then it's how you build from that. And I thought Thomas Frank would do better than he actually has done. I'll be first to admit, I thought this was going to be an excellent appointment. I thought this is going to be exactly where Tottenham are, exactly what Tottenham need. I thought he was going to get more out of these players. But like I say, through partially his own management, through partially his own coaching, and through other factors that are not necessarily his fault, like the club being useless, like injuries, and seemingly just having an extreme amount of bad luck, I do feel sorry for Thomas Frank a little bit. Like I say, Champions League, it was going really, really well on the Champions League. I mean, the team finished 4th, but, you know, could that be a reflection on how the Champions League is? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying. But it's a very interesting situation now developing at Spurs. And look, I also get it in the sense that this is possibly, I don't know, like I said, again, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm looking at this from the outside looking in. But this was obviously a Daniel Levy appointment. Now, since then, of course, he's gone from the club, and I think the club are trying to move on from the Daniel Levy regime, and maybe this was the last piece of that to go. So maybe now that he's gone, maybe the club can look at bringing in their own manager, looking to back him and looking to move on in a direction that is fitting. One thing I will say to that is, I don't know who you bring in. I feel like this club is rotten to the core. I feel like this club constantly chops and changes its mind at will. I feel like this club has got no clear plan, no clear way of doing things. They have an end goal, but they don't know the steps to take to that end goal. Hence why they've gone through about 6 different managers in about however many years it's been, and they've all been different in their own right. You go from Pochettino to Mourinho, 2 very different contrasting styles. Then you bring in Conte, slightly similar, but also, you know, very volatile and obviously a very delicate situation. The guy could erupt at any moment. Then you go to Nuno Espirito Santo, different again. Then you go to this guy and that guy, and obviously then you end up at Ange Postecoglou, who's different from all the others, and then Thomas Frank, who's right back to square one again. It's very weird. It's very bizarre as far as what Tottenham are concerned. But the news today is that Thomas Frank has been sacked from his position at Tottenham Hotspur, as revealed by David Ornstein. Where do they go from here? Look, I think Thomas Frank can still get a job in the Premier League. I think if you look at maybe a Crystal Palace, I know that Palace kind of go for like a new brand of manager, the younger brand of manager. I still think he could probably do a job at like a Palace or, you know, somewhere similar, somewhere in that kind of ballpark in the Premier League. I think he's a very good manager in terms of punching up rather than punching down. And in Tottenham's case, I know they're not exactly, you know, punching down, so to speak, because apart from the deluded Tottenham fans, we see them for what they actually are. It was just upon hindsight, maybe it was just too big of a job because the expectations are somewhat a bit out there for what they're actually going to give you. I think Thomas Frank could do well at most clubs, bottom half of the table, maybe even Championship. I think he'll be fine. He could even go abroad, wherever. As far as what Tottenham are concerned, though, I think if they had a bit of ambition about them, if they wanted a nice style of play, if they wanted, something to maybe get you a bit excited and a bit proud of your club, of your team, there's a certain manager that has been sacked not too long ago. Roberto De Zerbi. Now, may not exactly scream a winning pedigree. May not exactly scream success on his resume. But he plays some good stuff. Plays some good football. Get these players playing better than what they actually are. If I was a Tottenham fan, I'd be calling out for De Zerbi. I think he's realistic, and I think that what he brings to the table is excitement. And I think that's what Spurs need right now. Especially when you look at some of their players as well. Like when you bring back the likes of Maddison if he comes back, or Kulusevski if he comes back, you add them to what you've already got. You add them to your Solankis, your Xavi Simons especially, your Mohamed Kudus's. Those types of players, I feel like De Zerbi could do a lot with those kind of players. Obviously, there are some players he's going to need to... there are going to be a lot of players you need to kick out, of course. There are going to be a lot of players that you need to, get rid of. Mainly your captain for one of them, because you can't keep making excuses for the guy. The guy is just... He beyond help. But I do feel like De Zerbi could be the guy to at the very least restore some sort of pride in Tottenham, and to give you an identity, to give you something to work off. He's not going to be the guy, but he might lay the foundations for something bigger, for something better, because 2 seasons in a row now, you're looking at a relegation scrap. And again, I don't think you'll get there, because I do think there are 3 worse teams at the very least, worse than Spurs. But it's still not great for a team that acts and talks like they are bigger than what they currently are. And again, it's an identity thing. Tottenham board need to have a hard look at themselves. They need to come up with a crystal clear vision of who they are, what they are, and how they want to achieve bigger and better things. And stop focusing so much on bringing in, boxing events and singers and artists and whoever else to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Bring in new players that are going to be statements of intent. Build a squad that is going to be a proper, well-built squad. Back your next manager. Give him what he needs to succeed. Don't make any more excuses. And just eradicate the mistakes of the past. Sounds like a lot, but if Tottenham want to rebuild, that's how they're going to have to do it. Do I think they'll do it? Probably not, because they'll probably turn to someone like Sam Allardyce or like a Steve Bruce or something. So, yeah, I don't have too much hope for Spurs' future, because we've been down this road many, many times before. So until something changes, then it might change my opinion on it. Like I say, I think De Zerbi's the way to go. But like I say, we've been down this road multiple times with Spurs over the years. New managers coming in, it doesn't make a difference. You can change the manager, great. You've changed a symptom of the root cause of the problem, which is the club. And Spurs fans will get behind it and think that maybe the sun is rising on a new dawn. It might just be deja vu and Groundhog Day all over again for certain Spurs fans. Look, those are the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling, though. Let me know in the comment section down below what you make of the sacking of Thomas Frank at Tottenham Hotspur. Was it the right call? Was it the wrong call? And who do you think will succeed the Dane at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium going forward? What do you think Tottenham's contingency plans are for in this head coach position that has since been vacated? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling down below. Use and abuse that comment section, people. Talk to me on this big breaking news story. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, listening. Hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thanks so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I'll see you and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again. Very, very soon.